you grow your business. So you understand the business, but if you understand the technology as well, it's a what do you say, right? That ice cherry on the cake.
Cake.
That's
Yeah.
what it is. Yep.
Okay. Okay. Absolutely. Yeah. Correct. So, hi everyone. Welcome to another episode of McLaren Cast and McLaren Academy Show. And in this episode, we have someone very special with us who has been long-standing working in the IT sector, and with a career of 17 years, with a lot of corporate cultures and jobs he has experienced. Right now, he's working as a group program manager in Cashfree. So here we have with us Praveen Prakash. Hi, Praveen. How are you?
Hi, Ashwarya. I'm doing good. Thank you.
Yeah, so
How
welcome to the
about you?
show. Yeah, I'm very good. I'm awesome. So, how about Praveen? You introduce yourself to our guest, and we can start our show with your introduction.
Sure, Ashwarya, and it's pleasure to be on your show for me. Uh, Basically, I'm from Lucknow. I did my graduation from IIT Lucknow in 2005, and then started my career in IT industry. It was a pleasant era. A lot of IT service companies were booming at that point of time: Infosys, Wipro, TCS, and I was fortunate enough to get a placement in Wipro, where I started as a software engineer and started my IT journey from there. Worked with Infosys Wipro for a couple of years before I decided to do my MBA. I did my
Hmm.
MBA from IIM Indore and then again back to corporate job. Having Since then, I have been fortunate enough to work with some very large corporations like Microsoft and Symantec, and then went on to work with some startups like Cluster, which is part of Tele Solutions, then MPL, Mobile Premier League, and most recently with the cash-free payments. So it has been a very wonderful and exciting journey so far in software development, Ashwarya.
Yeah, I mean, with all the companies under your portfolio, I mean, it has been a really big career. So, assuming that you started your career before, I think so, the recession, right? That 2007, 2008 recession that hit the world. So, what were you doing back then?
Luckily, I was not impacted, but yes, I could. When I was at that point of time, I was in Infosys, and I could see some impact. One of the vertical that I was working on, suddenly all of the projects stopped in that particular vertical, and I started working on some other vertical. And so, being in, I was with Infosys, so luckily my job was not impacted that point of time. But reading in about the recession in the news was certainly scary at that point of time. Actually, if I can
Hmm.
say that.
Yeah, actually, I was in probably in school right when the recession hit, and I think so somewhere we all felt the pain that everyone was suffering right now in that point of time. So definitely, it was something that we never want to see again. But again, आजकल बहुत सारे लोग रिसेशन के बारे में बात कर रहे हैं कि आने वाला भी एक रिसेशन है. उसके बारे में आपकी क्या राय है जो अभी आ सकता है एक साल दो साल में?
तो एक्चुअली अगर हम साइकिल देखें राइट रिसेशंस का, तो रिसेशन लगभग हर एक 8-10 साल के पीरियड पे आता ही है. व्हेन
हम्म.
आई वाज इन कॉलेज देयर वाज लाइक इन 2000 देयर वाज डॉट कॉम बर्स्ट. दैट टाइम देयर
हम्म.
वाज अ रिसेशन. उसके पहले भी रिसेशंस आए थे.
हम्म.
देन देयर वाज अ रिसेशन इन 2008, राइट.
हम्म.
फिर अभी रिसेंटली में आप देखो तो कोविड की वजह से भी बहुत बड़ा इम्पैक्ट पड़ा है. बीच में भी कुछ ना कुछ होता है. तो देयर विल बी recessions that will keep coming. We have to accept it as a fact that it is something which will be part and parcel of our career, right?
हम्म.
But the important thing is that how do you deal with it and how do you prepare yourself for it, right?
हम्म.
So you have to keep faith in you. Uh, we all hope that we don't get impacted by this. But let's say if you get impacted, first thing that you don't have to lose faith in you. And because what I have also seen is that the time that comes after recession comes up with a lot more opportunities.
हम्म.
So if you don't lose your hope, right, keep looking for things and keep reinventing yourself, keep learning yourself, right. Uh, then when the recession ends, you will have a lot more opportunities and better opportunities than what you had, right? Even if you are in a job, right, you have not been impacted, you have been lucky enough, it doesn't mean that you stop learning. You have to keep learning new technologies, new things, so that once the recession ends, you are in a better phase, uh, and you are ready for your next version of your career.
हम्म. So I guess patience and resilience is the key in this recession and all, right?
Definitely, Ashwarya. You have to be patient and you have to be resilient in whatever
Okay.
you are doing.
Absolutely, sir. So, Praveen, looking at your portfolio, it says that you have also done an MBA. So, how important is MBA when it comes to a job in IT? Because we or like everyone has an assumption कि हम MBA BTech की just बात करें या पहले job कर लें. तो इसके बारे में आप क्या बोलना चाहेंगे MBA और BTech के?
So actually, I think in last couple of scenarios with a lot of IT, lot of startups coming up in India, right, especially in Bangalore and other parts of the India, I would say that this MBA scenario has changed a little bit. When I did my MBA, there was a very clear-cut demarcation between the BTech, what when you climb a corporate ladder in a technical side versus once you are done with your MBA, right? Nowadays, and MBA had an advantage at that point of time. But what I would say is that now there are enough and equal opportunities in both the sides. You can grow a technical ladder, especially if you are in a startup, and you can grow a corporate ladder after doing your MBA. So both are equally important. My personal interest was more on the management side, where I wanted to do things like people management, project management, marketing, and sales, and that's why I chose the MBA path, right?
Hmm.
But that doesn't mean that technology is less important. Uh, Having said that, what I would also like to say that, right? Uh, if you are in software industry, even if you are doing an MBA, I would suggest that you spend couple of years in IT industry as a developer or a software tester, right? So that you understand the nuances of a software development from that perspective. Because uh, MBA will give you the business knowledge, but this particular knowledge will also help you at a later point of time when you have to bring together all these ends and make a presentation to your client or internal stakeholders that what your technology stack is, how the technology will, or there's how technology will help you grow your business. So you understand the business, but if you understand the technology as well, it's a what do you say, right? That ice cherry on the
Hmm.
cake.
Cake.
That's
Yeah.
what it is. Yep.
Okay, okay, absolutely, yeah, correct. So, Praveen, I mean, like you have been working into as a manager for a long time. So, when it comes to technical aspect, how would you define yourself working in a technical aspect? What were the technology that you have worked on or you're currently working on?
Sure. So I started my career as a software developer with the Wipro, and then I went on to be a technology lead in Infosys. So technology is something that uh, came as part of my learning process
Hmm,
in these two companies, and after that I did my MBA. So as I said, right, it post my MBA, it has not been very difficult for me to understand the technical aspects of my business or the product that I have been working.
hmm,
If I talk about now, I think most of the teams are working on the cloud technologies, and there are a lot of things that you have to learn. So there are four things that you can probably learn. First, to be a full stack developer, you need to know the front end technology and the back end technology. Plus, you need to know the some part of the cloud, right? An AWS or an Azure or a Google cloud, right? And then you also need to have the some knowledge of the DevOps. How do you deploy these things, etc. So all these things together build a package that will help you. Many of the companies look for people who have some knowledge on all of these. Some companies are still looking for very people who are very skilled in front end or back end or in cloud or in DevOps, right? So both of the things are there. Maybe you can be an expert in one of the area, right?
hmm.
Maybe a back end developer, but if you have the good knowledge of the other three as well, that will help definitely help you grow in your uh, tech career.
Yeah, thank you so much for the insight on the technologies, Praveen. Acha, one thing that I've also experienced, I have a small career in IT industry before moving on to entrepreneurship. So,
Mhm.
the friction between the team, how to manage a team effectively, because there is a lot of friction between different personalities coming together and working in a group in a corporate culture. So, how would you define handling conflict management at workplaces and all those issues that arise due to work conditions?
So, actually, we have to understand that why do conflicts arise, right? What my experience is that probably there is a lack of trust and transparency between the teams,
Hmm.
right? Not only between the team members and probably also between the manager and the subordinates, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
No, IT industry is not like the other industries, right?
Hmm.
What we call people here are knowledge workers, right?
Hmm.
What it means that everybody is very highly skilled. So the other rules of managing people, right, which might be in a infrastructure side or a something, right, may not actually apply here. So
Hmm.
what we you need to do here is that create an environment of trust and cohesiveness where
Hmm.
people can trust each other, and there should be a transparency in whatever senior management is giving to lower manage to the lower rank of the pyramid, right? So if there is enough transparency, people know, right, what they are building, why they are building, where the business is heading, right? And at the same time they have trust on each other that okay, uh, people are there to help me and they are not for leg pulling me. I think you will be able to resolve many of the conflicts. And once the conflict arises, right, so this is the environment that you can create, but this will not guarantee that there will be no conflicts. There can be interpersonal reasons or different personality types which can lead to conflicts. I think the best way to deal with it, that confront, is have one-to-one conversation. Try to understand the perspective of the other person, right, who is on the other side, and maybe come up with some solution that maybe what is bothering you. It could be some personal reasons because of which he is impacted, right? So maybe work out with that person, try to understand why it is, and try to help it out.
Yeah, I guess communication is the key in the end, no matter the
Yes,
conflict. Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
You
So,
have to be open. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, correct. So, Praveen, it says that you have hands-on agile methodology, but you have helped different companies transform to agile. So, what is agile? I mean, we have heard a lot of term agile, agile everywhere. So, could you please define to us in simple words what is agile and how does it helps a company?
Sure, sure. So, Agile is basically a framework that was developed around in 90s, right? It is for the software development,
Hmm.
right? So, a group of people came together, and I think the predominant software development methodology that was used was waterfall at that point of time, right?
Hmm.
But during the waterfall, so what happens in waterfall that every step takes a predefined times, right? In fact takes a certain times, and then the other things come up. For example, once when you are doing working on development, you cannot start testing, right?
Hmm.
And the development also doesn't start immediately. It starts before that. You have to do a lot of designing. Before that you have to do a lot of documentation of what exactly you want to do, right? And the projects also used to be long, and once you have documented everything, you have done the design and everything, and if there is a change that the customer asks, it used to become very difficult to incorporate that change, because you will have to understand all the impact areas of that particular change and then make it right.
Hmm.
So these are some of the problems that the software industry was facing, right? There were large development cycles that were there. The uncertainty was large whether the project will fail or pass, because you only get the output at the end, right? And then you incorporating any change was becoming very difficult, right? So that is where this agile methodology comes into picture, right? It helps you deliver a product at a very short cycle. Generally we call that a scrum. So after a scrum, which might be 2 3 4 weeks, you are able to see some prototype or some working software, and then based on that you can demo it to your customer, get a immediate feedback, and if there is any change required, you can just incorporate that. So that is a basic difference between agile, right? So in fact, I would agile is basically a larger umbrella framework under which you have different methodologies like Scrum, Kanban, and Extreme, etc. So that is where the agile comes into picture, and it is, yes, as you said, it is one of my favorite topics
Hmm.
to talk about, and also in the company where I work.
So, if I'm not wrong, Praveen, basically, agile is something that helps you manage your project better with a better resource allocation and I think so. This is the main, if I could say in a single word, Agile is basically a project management tool, right? That can.
It's a basically a project management tool, but it's not a tool actually. It's a methodology or it's a framework, I would say, right? So it
Hmm,
provides a framework that based on which you should develop
hmm,
your software.
hmm,
Uh, in that particular thing, then and the main premises is that how do you deliver working software fast,
hmm,
right?
hmm,
And to deliver that, what kind of collaboration you will need, what kind of meetings you will need, what kind of breakup task breakup you will need. These
hmm.
things are provided by that particular framework. So that
Okay.
is what Agile actually does, right?
Okay.
And there are tools to manage it. For example, Jira or Asana, right?
Hmm, hmm.
These are the tools which will help you implement Agile into your company.
Okay, so now that we have discussed a lot about the technical part, so let's move on to like the basic part for our audience. So like Praveen, like starting off from a salary of around 25K to moving on to a package of around 1 CR per annum. So how would you say that how relevant is IIT or those higher institutes in a career growth? I mean, do you find it like I must have you prepared for IIT and then what was your story back then?
Yeah, I did prepare for IIT. I cleared the pre as well for the IIT, but somehow I could not manage the mains.
Hmm,
But then I got a admission in Institute of Engineering and Technology, IIT Sitapur Road, which is a government college. I had a
hmm,
good rank and I could
hmm,
secure a place there. Uh, b- After which I got an admission into, sorry, I got a placement into Wipro Technologies, right?
hmm,
So what I would say, and then years on, I went on to do my MBA from IIM Indore,
hmm,
right, which is one of the premier MBA colleges, right.
hmm,
To coming back to your question, Ashwarya, right, IIT and IIMs, right. I think the biggest thing that they provide is the kind of culture that they have and the kind of environment that they provide. For example, right, you see a lot of people from IITs and IIMs coming out of the college and starting up their own company or doing working in the higher things, right? So that kind of cultural mindset is something that these companies, these institutes obviously bring into you, right?
hmm,
Getting into these premier institutes is also a little difficult,
hmm,
right? So you get a good company as well. So that
hmm,
is the basic difference that I found between a good college and maybe a not so good college. But having said that, Shreya, again, right, it's not the only defining factor in one's career, right?
hmm,
Having worked with companies like Microsoft, Symantec, and then various startups, I have seen people from all the colleges excelling there, right?
hmm.
So there might be a majority of people who are coming from IITs, NITs, or the IIMs, but I have seen people who are coming from lesser known colleges and making an impact. So
Hmm,
if you have if you are from IIM or IIT, yes, you will have to make you will still have to do a lot of hard work. But if you are not from these Premier Leagues colleges, you still have a chance in the industry where by your sheer hard work you can compete and be with them.
hmm. Like, yeah, I have to agree. I mean, there is like nothing, no one's limiting you from growth, right? I mean, you can also grow if you're not from the premium institutes of India. All it takes is the hard work. So Praveen, what would you say when it comes to the growth in IT industry? I mean, you, after having so much of experience in IT industry, how would you advise the young generation to prepare itself for a growth in IT industry?
So yeah, I think the growth in IT industry, right? So I think your question primarily would be on the software development and things, right? Uh, so IT industry is basically also divided into two parts actually. One is the service industry and one is the product
Hmm,
software product industry,
hmm,
right? When we talk about the service industry, it's all the companies like Infosys, Wipro, TCS, Cognizant. They are part of the service industry where they provide they deliver projects for their customers, right? And their customers could be anybody in the company, right? Starting from the Fortune 500 companies to maybe a smaller organization or the government, etc., right? So
hmm,
since they provide a service to these, they are called a service providers. The second type of companies are the product companies, right? For example, we have Zomato, we have MPL, we have Cashfree, right? We have uh, tons of companies who have come up with some kind of product, right? Make My Trip, etc., right? Naukri.com. So they have come up with some product through which they are solving some customer problem. So these are the two kind of industry. So first, you should also identify that what kind of industry you are looking for, whether you want to be a service industry or a product industry. And once you identify that, right, maybe you have to start working on your technology and your preparations, right? They both provide certain perks and certain other things, right?
Hmm.
Uh, so you have to like, so yeah, so if you have to get in, advance into the IT industry, right? As I said, that we all are knowledge workers here.
Hmm.
So knowledge is the prime factor. You have
Hmm.
to keep enhancing your knowledge, keep learning new things, keep yourself abreast with new technologies that are coming in, right? So I think that is the only way through which you can survive, right?
Hmm.
So, and the second thing is obviously once you start growing the ladder, you have to work on your interpersonal development also, right? How you communicate things, how do you put forward the things, right?
Hmm.
So these skills, interpersonal skills, will also start playing a role. So initially, there will be a more focus on the technology that you know and how efficiently you can deliver something. And
Hmm.
at a later point of time, while this will be also important, the probably the percentage of your interpersonal skills and other things will start increasing. So that is how you have to make sure that you prepare yourself.
Okay. Okay. So, when it comes to the product-based industry and when it comes to service-based industry, what is the biggest difference that you see in the work culture of these two different organizations? I mean, what are your experiences with them?
I think IT industry at I think if I say like mota mota दोनों बराबर है, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Because they all come with people are basically good in both the things. In service industry, because you work for a client, sometimes you are bounded by that,
Hmm.
right? So you have to follow maybe some billing cycles or some things as per your client, right?
Hmm.
And then you also have your parent company,
Hmm.
right? But that what I have sensed is that actually that gives you a better job security in like in IT industry. If I have to talk about job security, right?
Hmm.
Then probably being in a service company, if even if your client changes, so even if your client's project is over, your
Hmm.
parent company like Infosys or TCS will probably put you into some other project,
Hmm.
right?
Hmm.
But there will be times around deployments or some critical incidents where you will have to obviously put some extra effort into the same thing, right?
Hmm.
The same is in the product development cycle also, right?
Hmm.
You work directly with on the product, right? So there is no client. Your client is your company itself. And then uh, uh, during the deployment or critical phases, you will have some long hours that you have to spend, but otherwise it will be a lot of chill time and a lot of fun-based activities that you
Hmm.
will have, right?
Hmm.
But yes, here, if your company is not doing good, right,
Hmm.
then probably you will be impacted directly, which was not probably in the case in the service industry.
Hmm.
So maybe the perks are high in the software products, right? The packages
Hmm.
are better than the service industry, but it also has own risk and other things.
तो बेसिकली एक जनरल एजम्पशन जो हमारे दिमाग में रहता है वो ये रहता है कि मास सर्विस बेस्ड इंडस्ट्री में हम लोग ज़्यादा रिक्रूटमेंट होता है ऐसा मास बेस्ड इंडस्ट्री होती है बिकॉज द बिलिंग इज प्रोवाइडेड बाय क्लाइंट ऑफ द नंबर ऑफ रिसोर्सेज दैट वर्किंग ऑन द प्रोजेक्ट बट एक प्रोडक्ट बेस्ड इंडस्ट्री में लोग हायरिंग कम करते हैं इस वजह से वहाँ पे स्किल डेवलपमेंट ज़्यादा अच्छा होता है और वहाँ पे जॉब सिक्योरिटी बेटर होती है तो क्या ये एक एजम्पशन हमारा एक मिथ है कि इट इज़ सीरियस करेक्ट एजम्पशन
So actually, the first part of your question is correct. वो क्योंकि बिलिंग आपके नंबर ऑफ रिसोर्सेज पे होती है, तो दीज कंपनीज जितने ज़्यादा उनके पास रिसोर्सेज होंगे, जितने ज़्यादा प्रोजेक्ट होंगे, उनका प्रॉफिट मार्जिन उतना ज़्यादा होगा. तो दे ट्राई टू हैव एज मैनी पीपल एज पॉसिबल, और उनके प्रोजेक्ट कभी भी आ सकते हैं, कोई डील कभी भी क्रैक हो सकती है, एंड दे नीड टू हैव पीपल रेडी टू डिप्लॉय ऑन दोज प्रोजेक्ट्स, राइट? दे कैन नॉट डू कि जब डील आएगी तो हम हायर करेंगे. प्रोडक्ट डेवलपमेंट में क्या होता है कि यू स्टार्ट विद अ सर्टेन नंबर ऑफ पीपल, और जैसे जैसे आपका प्रोडक्ट ज़्यादा बिकना शुरू होता है, आपके फीचर्स बढ़ते जाते हैं एंड यू स्टार्ट हायरिंग मोर एंड मोर पीपल, राइट?
हम्म, हम्म,
बिकॉज़ यहाँ पे जो बिलिंग है वो आपके नंबर ऑफ रिसोर्सेज पे डिपेंड नहीं है, बल्कि इस पे डिपेंड है कि आप अपने प्रोडक्ट को कितना सेल कर पा रहे हैं। तो योर product is not your profit margin is not is proportional to the number of developers you have, right?
हम्म, करेक्ट।
So, right. But you need to have good resources, good people, engineers, right? जो कि उस प्रोडक्ट को मेंटेन कर पाएं जब आपका प्रोडक्ट बढ़ता है, राइट? फॉर
हम्म,
एग्जांपल, अगर आप हॉटस्टार का एग्जांपल लो, राइट?
हम्म,
तो जब
हम्म,
भारत पाकिस्तान का मैच होता है, फाइनल होता है, तो देयर आर 1.2 करोड़ पीपल हु
हम्म,
आर वाचिंग दैट पर्टिकुलर मैच लाइव,
हम्म,
राइट? तो
राइट।
आप समझ सकते हैं कि उतना बैंडविड्थ मेंटेन करने के लिए आपको कितनी हाई अवेलेबिलिटी चाहिए सर्वर्स की, राइट?
हम्म, हम्म,
आपको डाउन टाइम नहीं चाहिए, आपको लैग नहीं चाहिए, राइट?
हम्म,
सो
हम्म,
यू नीड टू हैव वेरी गुड पीपल, राइट? लेकिन अगर
हम्म,
आपने वो सर्वर्स सेटअप कर लिए हैं, तो अगर आपका एक साधारण सा मैच भी हो रहा है जिम्बाब्वे और नीदरलैंड्स का, जिसे कोई भी नहीं देखने वाला है शायद, बट
हम्म,
दैट सेटअप विल एबल टू सर्व दैट, right?
हम्म,
So
हम्म,
here you see, right, that it is not dependent on the number of employees resources you have. You
हम्म,
have to have good engineers जो अच्छे स्किल सेट के साथ आते हैं और आपको एक अच्छा प्रोडक्ट बनाने में हेल्प करते हैं.
हम्म,
And that is why I think the skill set is very becomes very more important in a product company. And I
हम्म,
think sometimes the packages are also in proportion to that.
हम्म। ओके, ओके। सो प्रवीण, बहुत सारे लोग हमारे आईटी इंडस्ट्री में ये एजम्पशन लेके चलते हैं कि वी हैव टू मेक अ लॉट ऑफ स्विच टू ग्रो इन द करियर, है ना? बहुत सारा ये एक रेस लगी हुई है कि मैं इसमें स्विच करूँ, मैं हर समय एग्जाम में इंटरव्यू देता रहूँ। तो आपके हिसाब से जो पहला बंदा जो पहली जॉब कर रहा है, तो व्हाट इज अप्रोप्रिएट टाइम फॉर यू टू स्पेंड इन अ कंपनी बिफोर यू कैन प्लान योर नेक्स्ट मूव टू अ नेक्स्ट कंपनी? सो एज अ रिक्रूटर आपके मन में क्या रहता है कि आपके ऐसे रिज्यूमे देखते हैं लोगों का, तो फिर अगर कोई बंदा हर साल 1.5 साल में चेंज करके लगातार आ रहा है, तो आई डोंट थिंक कि पीपल प्रेफर अ लॉट। सो व्हाट डू यू थिंक इज द राइट टाइम टू स्विच?
राइट, तो एक्चुअली हम लोग डेफिनेटली देखते हैं, मैं भी जब काफ़ी सारे लोग के इंटरव्यूज़ लेता हूँ, तो वी लुक एट कि वो उनकी स्टिकनेस कब कितनी है एक कंपनी के साथ, राइट?
हम्म,
दो वजह हैं, पहला तो ये पता चलता है कि वो उसने पिछली जॉब में कुछ सीखा भी या नहीं सीखा, राइट? क्योंकि
हम्म,
एक जॉब में भी आपको सीखने के लिए कुछ अच्छा टाइम स्पेंड करना पड़ता है।
हम्म,
तो आप रुक रहे हैं, सीख रहे हैं, या फिर आप बस जंप करते जा रहे हैं एक कंपनी से दूसरी कंपनी में?
हम्म,
तो आई वुड से कि आपको एक कंपनी के साथ रुकना चाहिए, कम से कम 2-3 साल आप स्पेंड करें।
हम्म,
अगर आपकी ग्रोथ अपॉर्च्युनिटी अच्छी है वहाँ पे, तो आई वुड से कि यू स्टिल कंटिन्यू विद दैट, क्योंकि आपका रोल चेंज होता है, आपके जो प्रोजेक्ट है वो चेंज होते हैं एंड यू गेट न्यू थिंग्स, राइट?
हम्म,
So please don't keep changing only for money, right?
हम्म,
Yes, money is important, but if your company is giving you good opportunities along with the money, then don't change. If
हम्म,
any of these things are not good, right? अगर आपको लगता है कि आपका पे पैकेज दूसरे मतलब जस्टिफाइड नहीं है करंट कंपनीज में एज पर
हम्म,
द आउटसाइड एनवायरनमेंट, या फिर आपको लगता है कि आपकी लर्निंग रुक से गई है, तो देन डेफिनेटली प्रॉब्ली इट इज अ साइन दैट यू शुड मेक अ चेंज.
हम्म। So as a recruiter, what are the skills or the mindset? What do you look at for people when you are hiring?
So when we are hiring, we are looking for people who are better than us, right?
Hmm, hmm,
क्योंकि अगर आपकी टीम में आपसे अच्छे लोग नहीं है, तो आपकी जो टीम का स्टैंडर्ड है वो लगातार गिरता जाएगा, राइट?
hmm, hmm,
So I'm always looking for people whom I can also learn something, right?
hmm,
Second thing, we are also looking for people who are open to challenges and who keep upgrading themselves, जो नई
hmm,
चीज़ें सीख सकते हैं. तो कई बार हमारा फ़ोकस इस पे तो रहता ही है कि आपको कितना आता है, साथ
hmm,
ही फ़ोकस इस पे भी रहता है कि आप कितना सीखने के लिए तैयार हैं या नई चीज़ें करने के लिए तैयार हैं।
hmm,
तो दीज़ आर सम ऑफ द थिंग्स दैट वी लुक फॉर। ऑब्वियसली जो आपका टेक्नोलॉजी स्टैक है, जो आपकी इंडस्ट्री नॉलेज है, वो मैटर करती है, वो आपको
hmm.
आनी चाहिए। बट दीज़ आर सम ऑफ द लाइक सटल थिंग्स दैट वी लुक फॉर व्हेन वी इंटरव्यू पीपल।
Okay, okay. So it was a really great collaborating with you for a podcast, Praveen. I mean, we really enjoyed it. It was very insightful. I wish I could have this podcast when I was entering the IT industry. I would have made a lot of changes in my career. So thank you so much for the rich insight that you gave us into the IT industry. Uh,
थैंक यू ऐश्वर्या आई होप कि मैं कुछ वैल्यू ऐड कर पाऊँ लोगों की लाइफ में
Absolutely,
थ्रू दिस
absolutely. I think
पॉडकास्ट
so. Our audience has a lot to grab from this podcast. Let's summarize this podcast with a last question that I want to ask you is like for this question is for the audience who is like in class 12 or is in like in college. So how do should they prepare themselves for the job that they are going to take in IT or the interview that they're going to have at the IT? What are the like skill set they should focus on, the languages they should focus on, or what should be they should the mindset what mindset they should have for this IT industry job and all.
sure, sure. So I think the only advice that I will give them is that yes, keep learning, keep experimenting.
Hmm,
राइट आप नई चीज़ें सीखते रहिए, नए प्रोजेक्ट करते रहिए, अपने स्किल सेट को लगातार बढ़ाते रहिए। आजकल तो बहुत सारे एवेन्यूज़ अवेलेबल हैं जो कि हमारे टाइम में नहीं थे। आई
hmm,
थिंक आपकी कंपनी एक्लेरन ही कितने सारे कोर्सेज़ बनाती है, राइट?
hmm, hmm,
जो कि पीपल कैन सी एंड लर्न, राइट?
hmm,
उसके अलावा भी आई थिंक यूट्यूब पे और रेमी एंड देयर आर मल्टीपल लर्निंग साइट्स जहाँ पे कि आप जा सकते हैं और सीख सकते हैं।
hmm,
जब मैंने अपना करियर शुरू किया था तो इतनी अपॉर्च्युनिटीज़ नहीं थी।
hmm,
हम लोग को कुछ बुक से पढ़ना पड़ता था या कुछ इंस्टीट्यूट जाके ट्राई करना पड़ता था। तो आई थिंक द जनरेशन टुडे दे हैव दे हैव दे आर एट अ वेरी एडवांटेजेस सिचुएशन जहाँ पे
hmm,
कि देयर आर सो मेनी गुड रिसोर्सेज अवेलेबल टू लर्न। सो
hmm,
टेक एडवांटेज ऑफ दैट, लर्न न्यू थिंग्स एंड equip yourself with knowledge and with confidence.
hmm. Thank you so much, Praveen. Thank you for the valuable session that we had here. And it was really fun to talk to you and see you again. And for the guest who wants to ask some more questions, I'll send out the links to the social profiles of Mr. Praveen and you can reach out to him personally if you had any questions in mind. And thank you so much, Praveen, for collaborating with us. Thank you and see you soon again.
Thank
Yeah.
you, Aishwarya. Pleasure has been mine, and wish you all the best as well.
Hmm.
Thank you.
Okay. Okay.